Hi, Bree.
Hello, how are you?
I am good, thank you. Good morning to you. It's morning,
Thanks.
right?
It's 1 p.m. here in
It's 1
Minnesota.
p.m. Yes, that's
Yeah.
right. I forget time just goes by here so quickly. We've been online since 1 a.m. Pacific time today.
Oh my gosh, that is wild. And I'm sure you have a global community here with you
It,
that's
it,
navigating time zones as well.
yeah. We've had some interesting conversations with different expert leaders. We've had some panel discussions. And now we have you. And I'm so grateful for you accepting this and to be here to share with us your insights. And I was particularly interested to hear about some of the things that you've done when we initially spoke. You were describing it, and this is the greatest opportunity now to bring that all out in the open.
Yes.
So I'm gonna do a bit of introduction to yourself. So excuse me, and then I'll welcome you to provide a little bit more elaborate view of your journey as well. So Bree, welcome. Breanna is the CEO and founder whose focus is on leveraging time, creativity, intuition to scale businesses while maintaining personal well-being. I hope I got that right. But Bree's expertise is in business scaling, amongst other things, including personal empowerment, tapping into unique perspectives, both from her personal side, but also from the business side, and bringing in entrepreneurship integrated with fulfillment, all from a business and personal perspective. Now, I didn't do a lot of justice to that introduction, so I'm going to bring you in to tell us about your journey and a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me here. It's truly an honor and a joy to serve your community and bring my knowledge and experiences. And hopefully there's some gold that people can take away and go implement immediately.
Yeah, wonderful. Bree, tell us a little bit about your journey, just briefly.
Yeah.
Where did it all start?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm guessing, like a lot of you that are listening live or on the replay, I grew up in the era and generation where the internet was just coming out. And so, very much the motto and mantra was you go to college, you get a good job, you climb the corporate ladder, raises, promotions, and that's really what defines your success and your worth in life. And I completely bought into that. I was all in. Like I was a director at a university in my mid 20s. But then I had my first baby. And I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that when you become a parent, your perspectives and priorities usually change dramatically. And so I did go back to work after my first baby, but I only made it 3 months. And I literally I cried every day. I felt like I was handing over half of my heart at daycare, and it was just like, this is not why I wanted to be a mom. But it was a very much an unlearning of identity when I did make the choice to be a stay-at-home mom. And I knew I wanted connection, purpose, autonomy, some, to be able to contribute financially to my family as well. So I actually initially started in the direct sales industry when I was home. It was, kind of business in a box. You get to learn some business concepts, but you're not liable for the P&Ls and,
Sure.
all the nitty-gritty of running a business. And it was a great way to test the waters. And about, a couple of years in, it's like, I'm just going to go all in on this, see what happens. And I, invested in my growth and started doing the things that were wildly uncomfortable. And I made it to the top of the company. I hit the number one sales spot in the company, got to speak on stages, all of that. By that time, I was about 5.5 years into stay-at-home motherhood, had 3 children overall, and felt like I was glued to my phone. Like there were great things about it, but there were also not great things. Glued to my phone, and in that type of industry, you're reliant on someone to buy or join for your income. So usually it's like this. And my husband actually was the one who started all of this. He said, all that time and energy that you're putting into someone else's business, what if you did your own? And when he said that, I was like, wow, that's a great idea. But literally, what do I do? I have
Mhm.
no idea. And immediately, though, I was like, yes, I'm in on this. So I started investing into mentorship and growth for myself. And it took me about 6 months of doing that before I kind of figured out my groove and what I wanted to do. And I ended up finding what I believe and has become just a gold mine for moms. And that was the virtual assistant industry. So I found the VA industry, and in 3 days, I had booked a 2K a month client. And in my first full month as a VA, I hit a 5K month. And it was like literally everything I'd wanted out of motherhood that I'd been looking, didn't even know I was looking for, and I found it and I started sharing it with my community. It was just like, look at what I'm like, this is crazy, you guys. Like, what has happened? And everyone's like, wait, what are you doing? Like, tell me about it. So I ended up building a scalable signature program to help other moms do what I was doing. And that has just turned into the business and life of my dreams. Last December 2022 was a $70 month, and January 2024, so 13 months, was a 100K cash month. So it's just blown up even beyond my wildest dreams. And I've built out, a full offer suite around that signature program. But my mission and passion is that we get to have massive businesses that change lives. And we also still have the time freedom to be parents or to travel the world. And so I've always been intentional from day one of that my business works for me. And when it does, like instead of me being a slave to it, and when I can set it up like that, like I am in full service to my clients. And that's why they get such amazing results themselves.
Yeah, and let's build on that one because that's important when we talk about time and when we talk about starting up or even scaling the business. And it's great that you gave some examples about your signature program and how you've actually scaled up. And one of the things that generally people find challenging is the time aspect. Share with us how you've managed that and how you maybe help clients as well with, how to manage their time whilst actually scaling their business.
Yeah.
Give us a few practical strategies around that.
Absolutely. Well, I hear often that, or like, I think it's just this mindset like, you have to have the perfect office space, you have to have a closed door, like, good tech. And I just want to flip that on the head. Like, I literally built my business on a 7-year-old laptop from my kitchen table.
Mm.
And even now, like, my desk is in the kids' playroom because we don't live in a big house. So, it's like I think there's no barriers or restrictions that can hold you back. Like there's no one perfect environment or situation. And so it's kind of just working with and using what you have in that capacity. And then the other thing is like since day one, it was always I wanted to I didn't want to trade my time for money. I did not want to stack my calendar full of just one-to-one clients. So thinking through and being very intentional since day one of how can I impact at scale. And so that's why I built a one-to-many signature program that like the way it's set up, clients can enroll at any time, go through it, join the coaching calls. And it's very hands-on, very personalized, but also it's set up to hold a significant amount of students at one time without compromising the quality of their experience and their education. And even like I have now a mastermind on top of that. That's also set up to scale where they still get really hands-on personalized support, but it can hold a lot of clients at once. And then the other like note on that too is that I hired early, like even before I felt ready. Because I'm sure you know this is like time is really the only thing that's capped in our day. So when we can exponentialize like what we can do in business when we have more hands in our business, which increases the revenue. Um, yeah. So hiring early too is another huge piece to that.
Yeah, amazing. And those are really valuable pieces of advice here. Let's talk about creativity and intuition here, and bringing that into all your business processes. How have you incorporated all of that into your business strategies? I know you touched on this a little bit, but how have you done that, and what kind of impact has this had on your business growth and resilience as well? Obviously, some good outcomes that you shared before, but tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, definitely. So I think one of the most important questions, like tapping into intuition and creativity, if you're in the ideation or offer refinement phase, is to think about like, what do you wish you had that was
Mm,
not available when you started doing the thing, or even, now as you're navigating business in life, it's like, what would be so helpful for you to have? Like, create what you want or wish you had. And then the other thing on that, it's like your intuition is almost like a channel, and if you're not, it's like a muscle that you strengthen too. So if you're not used to listening to it, you're not going to hear it. And
mm,
so some of it is just practicing like grounding in, slowing down a little bit, listening to your body. But then the biggest thing, like allowing the intuition to come through, but also then moving like immediately. So that's one of the things I have strengthened and practiced over time in business is when I get the idea, I don't wait. Like literally as quickly as I can get in action. And like just a fun example of that, it was about 2 months ago. I was literally washing the dishes. My girls were, in the kitchen, like right next to me. And I was just thinking, and I'm like, I'm gonna play a game with myself where I practice the energy and belief that I earn 10K every day. And it was just this fun game. I'm like, I'm gonna do that and see what happens for 7 days. And then it's like, wait, I should do this for my community too. Like I'm gonna take them through an experience called 10K every day and give them short daily trainings. And within 30 minutes of having that idea, I quickly finished the dishes. I ran downstairs and I put together like a super simple checkout page and put it up in my stories. I didn't even have it, like I did it so fast that I didn't even have time to build like the email welcome, and I did that later that night after people had already enrolled. But so it's just like when you get the idea, you go. And that's also the muscle you strengthen too, because if you get the ideas but you don't move on them, eventually you almost like lose that trust and disconnection with your intuition and your body.
yeah, it's true. And as you were just describing, I was thinking, when we talk about ideas, sometimes people get the ideas, and I'll put hand on my heart here and tell that a while ago, I used to be one of those people who are perfectionist and, look for excellence. And because sometimes
Mhm.
that's what we are taught from the younger age, right? And
But
and now it's like, well, you need to move things at pace. You need to move things at, fast. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be excellent, but you can course correct along the way. Do you find people within your community that are, well, you mentioned about an example, you had this idea, you put out a checkout page very quickly, and then you just move things along. Whilst there's some people who would think, that's a great idea. Put that on paper. Let's make that pretty. Let's. How do you deal with those kind of people?
yeah. Yeah, it's I mean, definitely there is there's multiple trains of thought there, and there's no, like I always too when I support my students, it's like what works for you, you find the way that works for you. There's no
Yeah,
right or wrong.
yeah,
The way that your business is going to blow up is when you move most resonant to how you're built, but also no, like success loves speed. So,
that's true.
moving fast, but um I think that sometimes the perfectionism is a safety mechanism or almost a defense mechanism of, if you if it has to be perfect before you can move, that keeps you safe.
Mm,
And it feels safer to do that than to be messy and wild and full out. Um, and it's also, then it could be almost a fallback too if it doesn't work out. You're like, well, it wasn't perfect enough or it wasn't good enough.
yeah,
But I think it's just such a muscle to practice of, and also I think, what is that saying of like you take the leap and then you learn how to fly?
yeah,
And that's like the best way like to describe life and business for me is sometimes I'll commit to things. I'm like, I'm gonna do this. And
mm,
I like have no idea what or how, but I'm like, we're gonna do this. I'll figure it out as I go. And that I learn the best through that too. So
yeah,
it's almost like the commitment and the conviction comes first.
yeah, yeah. I know, Bree, that's great. Tell us about you know, woman entrepreneurs here. How do you go about empowering them? I know you've got your business, um, but I just want to hear it from you as well. How do you empower women or across different genders? How can they have it all, and what are some of the key pieces of advice you would offer such kind of entrepreneurs to, bring that balance of personal life and business success? How would you do that?
Yeah. Oh man, I feel like there's so many different angles to dive into here, but something that's coming through for me is I think when we grow up and even in adulthood, there's always these boxes of like a mom has to look this way, or if you work, it has to be that way. And I have really learned that it doesn't. That I think there's a lot of societal constructs and like boxes that we are put in or told is like the right and the one way. But when you start moving and exploring in the energy of I can do anything and anything is possible, you realize that like literally anything is possible. And, in supporting women entrepreneurs with that, it's really first connecting to like like if you were to take away all the rules and boxes and limitations and it has to be this way and love it or hate it, like God bless the internet for giving us these opportunities to build massive businesses from home as moms alongside of our children, or just to redefine what success looks like. If I'm not mistaken, like you have had an amazing corporate career and you've taken that to build your own beautiful business, like even just redefining what, success looks like. And I mean, it's such a risk, of course, to start your own thing and go all in on that. But there, I mean, the reward is just, and not just the financial reward, like it. And I'd be curious if you feel this way too. It's like when you test what you're made of and you learn how strong your wings are and how far you can fly by taking those leaps. So just
Yeah.
kind of breaking the rules.
Breaking the rules. Yeah, I was just gonna say, breaking the norms. Yeah, well, it's I wouldn't actually say breaking the rules. It's more like bending the rules. And
Yeah.
in a way, you're also bending reality, to actually take
Yeah.
things forward, right? So,
Mhm.
so
Absolutely.
yeah. So, I'm curious again. So, you've started the business. You're working with different types of entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs. Scaling your business. What are maybe some of the new or innovative things that you're trying to introduce so that people can leverage their best of best within what they're trying to do now and maybe in the future as well? Because this can be really hard. It's hard, right? I mean, like you have an idea, don't really actually take that forward, or you take it forward, you're failing, and this is where resilience come into play. So, share with us maybe an example or examples that you've seen within people that you've dealt with and how you're actually helping them or what their stories are. Share with us.
Yeah, definitely. So I'll share just a little anecdote from my own experience, and then I'll share a client example as well. Um, But yeah, I mean, it's such a forward facing, it's like you have to go for first your identity and belief in what you're doing and like holding that conviction that it's going to happen no matter what, which is such when your physical reality, what you see in front of you, whether it's your bank account or you are in a corporate job and you want to be home when it doesn't match what you're creating, like the human in us gets so antsy and it's like, this isn't working. But there's so much power in just holding the faith and continuing to move in alignment because it can't not work out when you're moving forward. And like I think the analogy too, if you say you're in Texas and you want to drive to California, you plug in the map on your GPS. And as long as you are heading towards California and moving forward, you will eventually get there. But I think the human in us is like, because we can't see California. So we're like driving along for 10 minutes and we're like, gosh darn it, I'm not there yet. So I'm going to veer this way and see if that will get me there faster. But then you're like literally off the track to California. So
Yeah,
you're surely not going to get there. If you just
yeah,
stay on track, you will get there. I think like a great example in my own life even was, that initial comment from my husband. And I was like, cool, I want to do this. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I just started investing and, figuring out, I knew I didn't know what I didn't know. So I wanted to learn from experts. And in 6 months' time, like before I'd found the VA industry, and actually the only reason that I really think that I found the VA industry was because I'd invested thousands. I had only made $132 total. It did not look like it was working. It did not feel like it was working. But I was like, there's no plan B. Like, this is the life I want to create, and I'm not going to give up. And the only reason I found the VA industry was because one of my mentors actually was like, it's time to get resourceful. Like, you figure something out. Like, if you need to go, work at a restaurant on Friday nights after your kids go to bed, like, just get resourceful. And so I just started scouring, and it was, from December was a $70 month and January was a 5K month. And then it just kept, increasing from there. But like literally, if I'd given up in those 6 months when it didn't look like it was working and I wasn't earning anything, like I would not be here today. Um, and then, a client example I think is Paige. When we connected last September 2023, she came to me and she was the breadwinner of her family and had an amazing corporate career, but she was a mom of two and she felt literally stuck. And she's like, I don't know how this can change. Like, I'm stuck because my family depends on my income. She's like, I more than anything, I just want to be home with my kids. And she, I mean, kind of just that same like moving in alignment. She showed up every single week. She did the work. And it wasn't till month 4 that she booked, and just like simultaneously, she booked the 3 clients that she needed. And immediately after that, she turned in her notice. But it was 4 months of showing up every single day for her dreams and her goals before she saw any tangible result. And now it's, what is it, mid June. So she's been at it. She's like mid December is when she put in her notice. So however, like five months now, she's been home and she's like, these are the best months of my life. But I think a lot of people in those 4 months, and I'm sure it crossed her mind. And even when I was in the middle of my 6 months of nothing, even though I was doing the work, like I think a lot of people would give up. And I certainly, it went through my mind and I know it went through Pages, but it's just like, no, this is what we're doing and we know it's possible and we're not going to not move forward towards it.
Yeah, and Bree, as you were just describing, even about putting the map from Texas to California type of thing, and also just these other examples that you're describing. In my mind, I was thinking, well, you've put your map, your route to your destination, and you keep moving. What if you run out of fuel along the way?
You get resourceful.
And then it hit me when you actually said, well, get resourceful, right? Because
Yeah.
that's exactly it, right? You get resourceful and you
Yeah.
you take a detour and you do something
Mhm.
else to actually come back to what you're doing. That's not easy. And I think I want to bring out that word of
Mhm.
resilience. And I'm not talking about endurance. I'm really talking about a strand of resilience, which is, resilience is a pretty broad word here, but if you and you mentioned about mindset as well, if you maintain that mindset and if you've got that support mechanisms, and I've been in that situation, sometimes I keep coming in and out of those situations as well. One of the
Absolutely.
things that inspired me as well to do something like this was because of some of the challenges that I've faced before. And let's hear some of these insights because it's all great about textbook
Yeah.
definition of resilience and how to do this, but when you've actually heard it from different people how to actually manage this, then you can take those unique insights. So when we talk about resourcefulness and taking all of that's an important aspect. Just agreeing with you there on that one, Bree.
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
Go on.
Oh, I was just, yeah, like even I think like I literally would have waited tables if I had to keep my dream moving forward. So it's almost like just dropping the ego and being like, I'm
Yeah,
just going to do what it takes.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
if I have to, I used to have an amazing corporate career before kids and now I'm home with kids. And I'm like, if I have to go, do something to be able to keep moving these dreams forward in the interim, I think, what is it called? Like a bridge job? Like
yeah,
do
yeah,
what you got to do. Like there's no shame. And even I'm sure on the topic of resiliency, like, the KFC guy got denied like 100 times before he was accepted, or like Stephen King, I think, was rejected like 76 times before his first book. Like all the major success stories that we know, like they failed massively first.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And one needs to become aware of that,
Hmm.
and take those insights with. But Bree,
Mm.
this is we're coming to a close very shortly here, and I'm keen to hear if you have any summarized set of strategies here or insights that you want to share before we come to a close. So here you go.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, this is probably the fastest 30 minutes of my life. That is so funny. That went so fast.
But yet so golden.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you again for having me. So much fun. Yeah, so what I want to leave the listeners with is an exercise. And this is future-paced present tense scripting. So one of the biggest things when you're making your dreams and your goals come to reality is tapping into and moving in that future self identity. So, who would you, if you had the 50K month business, like who would you be? Like, and literally down to like what would you wear, say, think, do, like who's surrounded by you. And then you're literally like assuming her identity and making decision or him assuming that identity and making decisions as that person. And one of the things that helps me kind of get into this is to script. And so I want to leave everyone here with a prompt to script this. And this is you're saying thank you for, and then whatever it is, we'll just say a 10K day in this example. So thank you for my 10K day. And then you're going to write like a letter to yourself or just like a journal entry or whatever you want it, however you like what feels resonant to you. And you're literally just going to write a letter and say, thank you for my 10K day or whatever it is that you want, my 50K month, and talk about how it happened easier and quicker. And how does it feel? And what does it look like? Like, how did it come through? And you're activating that future self reality right now. And then I love neuroscience. Like, I've used neuroscience a lot to grow my business as well. But essentially it's priming your reticular activating system in your brain to look for like because your subconscious mind doesn't know fact from fiction or past from present, and so your subconscious mind will believe that, and then your reticular activating system will look for evidence of that, and you will actually see evidence that your business is blowing up, and you'll start the conscious becomes unconscious, so eventually you're just going to be moving as that person who has the 10K day or the 50K month business or whatever it is that you want.
Yeah, yeah, Bree, I'm a big supporter of that. Scripting, journaling, but also looking at it from your future self. Um, and yeah, and using that into your present as well. So because then you start shifting your mindset, right? You're modifying your mindset, and the
Yeah,
reticular piece is very important. It helps. I have done that exercise, so I can
so
with
cool.
confidence say that
Yeah.
it makes you feel better.
You're like,
Um,
wow, I'm amazing. I
yeah,
just did
yeah,
this.
and it's a very good challenge to everyone as well because and neuroscience you mentioned these are not touchy-feely things. I mean, this is scientifically proven,
Yeah.
so there's some quantum physics that's involved in here.
Yes. I
Yeah,
love quantum physics. Yeah. It literally like changes the physiology of your brain and your body when
yeah.
you change the way you think and what you look for.
Yeah. Bree, anything else before we wrap up here?
Mm. I think just knowing like literally whatever it is that you want to do, like it is so possible. And the quicker you go into that identity and move in alignment with that, it can't not happen when you're moving in that direction.
Yeah, excellent. Bree, thank you so much for being with us today and giving great insights about yourself, your business, and also sharing some good challenges to the audience group. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And
Thanks so
and actually, one last thing before, how can the audience engage with you?
Oh, yeah. So I'm very active on Instagram, and my handle is at HEYITSBRECAIN, which is Hey, it's Bree Cain. So I would
Okay.
love to connect. If you listened, send me a message, let me know what you enjoyed the most, and would love to connect with you.
Yeah. No, we'll do some promotional activities and we'll get your name out there as well. No, wonderful, Bree. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of the day, and we'll speak soon.
Sounds great. Thank you so much for having me.
Wonderful.